Real Country 1430 WRDN. Brian Winnekins at World Dairy Expo, and thank you to our expo sponsors, including Tractor Central of Dran, Mondovi, and Menominee, Wisconsin Farmers Union, Dairyland Equipment Services, Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, Annabis Silo, and AMPI. And joining us right now from American Farm Bureau Federation, John Newton. He is one of the economists with the American Farm Bureau, and he kind of worked on this new dairy revenue insurance program, or at least was a part of it, and he was here at World Dairy Expo to talk about how this is going to work. So we thought we'd ask John to join us today. And John, thank you for joining us. Well, this new program is starting on October 9th for dairy farmers. It's going to be a revenue insurance program. So how was this developed?
Well, we started this process 2 years ago. We looked at the suite of risk management tools that were available to dairy farmers. At that point in time, everything was a margin-based instrument, whether they were using MPP or LGM dairy, and we knew that they didn't work as folks had anticipated. We also looked at in the crop insurance space and knew that the most successful and widely used products were revenue-based insurance policies. So we tried to replicate the success from the federal crop insurance program into the dairy space and came up with dairy revenue protection. It's been 2 years in the making. Very, very happy that it's finally here next Tuesday.
And from what I understand, at least over the 2-year period, yourself and a lot of other economists kind of all worked together, really from across the country, to kind of try and figure this out.
Well, we worked with obviously American Farm Bureau Insurance Services. It's our sister company in the crop insurance business. We had some other approved insurance providers on board, like American Ag and Country Financial. But we reached out to some well-known dairy economists, Dr. Maren Bozick at the University of Minnesota and Josh Woodard at the University of Cornell, to help us develop all the mathematical models we needed to come up with a sound insurance product. And so it has been a team effort, a lot of folks from around the country. But then at the same time, we were out traveling, visiting with our grassroots Farm Bureau members, and those members across the country provided their input as well into what ultimately became dairy revenue protection.
So how will this program work? From what I understand, there's a lot of different options for someone to be able to insure their revenue.
Well, it's actually not complicated at all. I think when you look at all the other tools, there's a lot of different decisions folks have to make. We wanted this to be easy to understand and simple, and quite frankly, every dairy farmer around the country knows how their milk is priced. They know if they're in a component market or if they're in a skim fat market, or maybe they're in a little bit of both. They know what their component levels of their herd are, and so under Dairy RP, you can pick how the milk is priced to better match your farm level risk. So you can choose a component pricing option that allows you to pick a butterfat and protein test. We then value that milk based on the component test that you select, or you can pick a simple average of Class 3 and Class 4. You pick the weighting of that average. So really easy decision. You pick how to value the milk. You pick which quarter you want to cover. It's a quarterly insurance product. And then you pick how much milk you want to cover. You want to cover any volume. There's no minimum or no maximum. And the final decision is you pick what coverage level. How much coverage do you want? That's effectively your deductible. So you can have a full coverage Cadillac option, which is 95% coverage, or you could take a higher deductible, like 80% coverage level. Means milk prices and revenue needs to fall a lot more before you get an indemnity, but because you're taking more of that risk on yourself, the premiums are lower as well.
And so for dairy producers, when they want to purchase this, they will go to, will all crop insurance agents have this, or are they going to have to go to a special agent just for that?
It's offered by approved crop insurance providers. It's the crop insurance decision on whether they want to offer it. I know here in Wisconsin, Rural Mutual, a Farm Bureau family company, is going to be offering the product. But all insurance companies have the ability, if they so choose to offer this. You don't have to be a Farm Bureau member to use it. You don't have to have Farm Bureau insurance to use it. Anybody, any dairy farmer in the country should have access to this product through one insurance company or another.
We are talking with John Newton. He's chief economist with American Farm Bureau Federation, talking about the Dairy Revenue Protection Program. And John, what about the other programs, Margin Protection Program and the livestock program? Are those going to also be eligible to? Will dairy farmers be able to use that too, along with the new dairy revenue insurance?
Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to get a farm bill done. Right now, the farm bill is expired. We hope that we can get it done by the end of the year. If we get it done by the end of the year and farmers have an option to sign up for the margin protection program again, then they can fully utilize MPP and dairy revenue protection. There's different sources of risk. One's a margin-based instrument, one's a revenue-based instrument, so you can cover all of your milk in both programs. So if MPP triggers a payment and Dairy RP triggers a payment, you could get a payment twice for the same milk because these programs are different sources of risk. You cannot, however, use LGM dairy and dairy revenue protection at the same time during the quarter. So that's the restriction on that.
Talking with John Newton with American Farm Bureau. He's the chief economist with American Farm Bureau, and talking about the dairy revenue protection program today. So this is every quarter that dairy farmers have to sign up for every quarter, or can they say, I want to do this for a year? How will they have to do that?
Well, so dairy RP is going to be sold every single day. So after the market's closed, we'll get the pricing information that's available to a dairy farmer. So you can go in, work with your crop insurance agent, and buy a policy every single day if you choose to. The policies are quarterly endorsements. There's no obligation to buy more than one quarter at a time. So if you say, I want to put my toe in the water, I'm just going to cover the spring flush of 2019, and maybe I'm just going to cover 20% of what I expect to produce. You could do that. And then as time goes on, maybe markets improve, you could come in and say, hey, I'd like to buy that quarter again. You could do that up until about 15 days before the quarter starts. So one of the things we knew is that the existing tools were rather binding. With MPP, you're locked in for 5 years. You could change your coverage every year, but you were locked in. And then with LGM, it's only sold once a month. We wanted to give farmers flexibility. I've traveled the country, met with a lot of different farmers, and some of the hardest working ones are dairy farmers. They work every single day. Their cows milk every day. They don't take holidays off. So we're going to work just as hard and be able to offer them insurance every single day.
I think that's one of the biggest changes. Is this is something that dairy farmers can take advantage of every day. They don't have that, it's the crop insurance deadline's coming up, we've got to get all this done, or that sort of thing.
That's exactly right. So one of the things you can do beginning now, quite frankly, is you can reach out to a crop insurance agent. You can get your application going. And then let's say October 9th, you look at the prices, you like them, you could buy a policy. If you don't like them, you don't have to buy a policy. But you've set it up with an agent. And if you're working with a rural mutual agent here in Wisconsin, you can do a lot of your application information online. So you don't even have to leave the farm to go do this. You can do it online. One of the other things that we have for any Farm Bureau affiliated insurance companies, American Farm Bureau Insurance Services developed a really good tool to help farmers see what coverage is available on a given day, how much it would cost to do some what-if analysis. They can download it at the Apple Store. It's called Dairy Quoter. All Farm Bureau customers will have access to this really cool tool that we demoed here at World Dairy Expo.
Finally, John, if folks do have more questions, does Farm Bureau have a certain website that dairy farmers can go to kind of get more information?
Pretty easy, dairyrp.com. So if you go to that website, we put a webinar up. We recorded a national webinar last week. That's on the website. There's a video that explains it. There's a couple articles. And then you can put your information in. And you can be contacted by a Farm Bureau agent in your particular state, and they can help you as a dairy farmer get access to that quota that we have. And it's really fantastic that American Farm Bureau Insurance Services developed the technology so that you can have it on your mobile device. So farmers will be able to look and see what Dairy RP quotes on a given day, and they can look at their iPhone or Android to do it.